How did you get from, I guess, around the time of college,
Hmm.
exiting your athletic career?
Yeah.
How did you arrive to acting?
So actually, this started in high school. And I don't even know if we've had this conversation before, but I actually did.
If we did, I don't remember it.
I did theater arts and advanced acting my senior year.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And it was because at the time, High School Musical
Oh
was,
my
I
God.
know. So I was influenced
Okay.
by certain people on that movie
Sure.
to do sports and not sing or dance, but just be around
Can you
that.
sing?
I cannot.
Can you dance?
Purely because of people in my circle, I feel like,
Okay.
right? Like I see it a lot,
Sure.
but I'm terrible.
I feel like that's one of those things, like being around people who are good at those two, either singing or dancing.
Right.
It doesn't rub off. It's just
No,
like
no, no.
if you're not good, you're not good.
You actually start to feel like you're worse. Yeah. I'm like, can you go somewhere else and do this?
Like doing karaoke with friends who are good at singing. That's not fun.
No,
It's not
you
fun for
want to be
anybody.
bad with people so that you can like laugh about it,
Yeah.
right? But then you get up and you're like, I have to go after you.
Yeah, this isn't a concert.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, I got it.
Yes. So in secret, I did do theater arts and advanced acting senior year.
Was it actually something that you felt like was a secret or had to be?
I actually did it just as a joke. I was like, you know what? This guy did it in secret in the movie. Let me try and like.
Oh, actually, yeah, that is the plot of High School
Right, it
Musical.
is.
Yeah.
He did it and it was kind of just like jokingly like, I'll do it. So for me, no one knew. But I was like, and at the time, it wasn't like I loved it. I think there
Yeah.
was a notion of men in theater arts back in the early 2000s. Wasn't the coolest thing to do at the time. It's very
Sure.
cool, by the way, but there was something about playing sports versus being in the arts, very different realms. And then fortunately, when I didn't do it in Oregon. I was too focused on sports. But when I transferred back to American River, I still needed some electives to be able to transfer to a 4-year as well. So I know I took theater arts at Sac City.
Okay.
And then I took a few classes at American River.
Yep.
Again, just to fill my schedule. So at this point, still wasn't thinking about it. When I went to Cal State Fullerton, I did need one class to fulfill the California general requirements or whatever they have, whatever it's called. I took a film music class with a professor named Tim Lawrence. I'm not sure if he's still there, but he was working and scoring. I want to say it was for Marvel at the time, or like a pretty big project.
Really cool.
And again, as an athlete, I kind of just was like, what kind of easy courses can I take to get the A?
Yeah.
But I kind of fell in love with it.
That's cool.
And it reminded me of why I kind of started back in the day. And I was like, every journey that I had taken, whether it was sports, I still bounced around and kept theater arts in my vicinity of what I was learning.
Yeah.
Never serious enough to be like, I want to pursue it, but enough to where I had the knowledge of it that like film is pretty cool, right? Like I do like going to the movies a lot without even knowing it. I do watch TV more than I should, right? I do subscribe to, I have Netflix,
But nowadays you can pretend that you're working.
Yeah. I gotta study.
Research,
Yeah. What's this actor doing? Watching Love Island or something. What are these reality TV shows about? But after I left school, I was still trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to do. And it always came back to, so I was working in the golf industry for a while.
I remember that.
Yeah. So that was a very short stint, but I needed just some money. And I was
Davis was the cart girl.
I was getting that money. What's up, fellas? No. But I was pretty involved in working my way up to assistant professional at a country club in Orange County. And even then, that's kind of when I started to realize like I'm in the hub of film and television. I'm 25 minutes away from the epicenter, and I had started out doing some extra work, realizing I do like it. Like it was something that being on set never felt like a job for me, even though I was getting paid to just kind of hang out and be in the background. And one thing kind of led to another, just trying to work on short films, student films. Chapman was really close.
What would you say was your first role? I mean,
Mhm.
I guess it's hard because if you started in high school, but I guess your first real, what you would have considered your first like acting job.
Yeah. So I worked on this show called The Brother's Son
Mhm.
a long time ago, but
What year was this?
2019, twenty
Okay.
twenty. Yeah. So right after COVID, LA does a great job at like helping. Every set usually needs extras.
Mhm.
So they'll pay you your rate or whatever, and you can kind of get an opportunity to just be on a Netflix set or Warner Brothers or
Yeah.
whatnot. That was kind of the official of like checking into a studio, going to, I think it was Sunset Studios at that time. So right next to the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Mhm.
That's when I was like wide eyed, like, wow,
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
this? Right? Who is that? Right. And then thinking like, if I get myself in this, maybe they'll pick me. Right.
Does where you are today, does all that lose its kind of like shine and novelty?
Never,
Yeah.
never.
That's really
I'm
cool.
still in awe of like what I get to do, where I get to go, what I get to say my job
Yeah.
is. It's the same. I get nervous every single day I wake up and get to go on set. I'm excited for it. Usually calling my mom first, like, guess who I met, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the appeal of it for me too, is like
Yeah.
I love it. Like it's not never feels, whether it's a 15-hour day or you're saying two lines for however much money, it's always the same.
Yeah.
There are moments when it's like, I want to go home, right? Like I need to work out, or can
Yeah.
I go run around the lot right now, right? But it's also, it's just been so gratifying to be a part of something that you don't know. Like it could go to a film festival and make it on IMAX, or it could
Yeah.
do really well. Like I think that's the appeal of it too, is that you just don't know, right? Where your career could go, where you could go, what the film could
I
go.
think a cool thought too is like I think not like being a consumer of media,
Yeah.
I think it's uncommon that you really think about how many people
Hmm.
have to like come together to make even like a short, small independent film.
My
There's
goodness.
so much work, right?
Yeah.
And like let alone like a bigger production.
Hmm.
There's so many people who are behind everything that goes on to the screen.
Yes, and you only see the good stuff,
Yeah.
right? There's a
Yeah.
lot that, and we talked about it recently, where you did a take of what, trying to set up
It
your
was for like
thing.
some promotional stuff for another business that I did. We couldn't afford paid actors. So it was me in front of the camera, and it took me like for like a 2-minute talking piece, I think I did 5 takes. And like what we recorded was much longer than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just that, what makes it in is 2 minutes.
Yeah, and that's what people forget, is that what you see for a commercial can be a day project. It could
Mhm.
be a week project. You may have to come back, cuts, takes, whatever. But it does take a village to create art like that.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's a commercial or you're watching an hour and a half movie, it's not just actors. It's everybody else behind the camera, and they do a phenomenal job at what they do. So that when everything comes together, it's really magical.
Mhm.
In the midst of it, it can be pretty gruesome,
Yeah, I'm sure.
but it is very gratifying seeing the end result.
Yeah.
So,
Um, so that was your first one was
mhm.
back in 2018, 19?
Yeah. What is it? 5, 6 years ago now?
Yeah. Do you have anything that you're allowed to talk about right now that if you had to say most excited to work on near future?
Yeah, there's a couple projects that aren't set in stone at the moment, and we've kind of talked about it off screen. Every step of my career has elevated because of a conversation that helped me realize I wasn't doing enough,
Mm.
or needing to take a step back and let's work on something that isn't even acting related, like the business side of it. The stuff that I'm excited for is the voiceover stuff that we talked about.
Yeah.
See, I'm getting excited talking about it.
Maybe if I take too long to edit this one and publish,
Yeah.
we can plug it then.
Yeah. Just go watch that on hopefully Netflix. But again, stuff that even my face specifically isn't even on, I get excited for just
Yeah.
because the magnitude of the project.
Yeah.
There's another project that is in pre-production right now that is supposed to be for a theatrical release. Two specifically, that one will have a lot of impact, I think, for people in the Central Valley.
Okay.
Because it is based on someone's real life. And then the other one, more so just being that it'll be one of my first theatrical releases for Los Angeles specifically. So I think for the community that I'm around, being able to have them come and watch my work in person.
Yeah.
Just because a lot of it, I don't get to know feedback until it's released later on, and I don't get to see it in real time. Sometimes that's good because I'm like, I don't know if I'm like, they might not like this at all or whatnot. But the projects that I have coming up are what I'm looking forward to. And then I would love to throw some theater in there eventually.
Yeah.
I do always kind of gravitate towards back to live performing just because of the adrenaline and the passion that people have for it. But
yeah, there's almost an aspect of like making it work because you can't
it
retake,
is.
right?
I wish you could. Yeah. But I would say it's very like, it's definitely an actor's medium where film and television, the director can say cut. The
Mhm.
director, like may have to do 5 or 6 takes.
Yeah.
And you may feel different in every single take, right?
Yep.
Theater, if you F up, if you, I'm not sure if we can cuss on this podcast, but
I don't care.
if you fuck up, you have to help yourself recover.
Yeah.
Right. So same thing with, I would say it's similar to bodybuilding where you're on a stage and you can tell me if I'm wrong because I'm not 100% sure.
I said that's a huge leap, but taking me where
I'm
we're
trying
going,
to relate
yeah.
with this. I'm trying to relate with this where it's like at one point in time, all eyes are on you. And the work and that you put in with your posing is going to show on that stage. The same thing with rehearsal. The practice and preparation that you put in off stage is going to show up on stage.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to, if you don't feel comfortable on that day, you have to make it work. And that's
true.
Maybe again, like maybe I'm fishing here, but
no, I get that. I think the only difference is the completeness of the preparation that goes into bodybuilding.
Okay.
Like it's not like prepping for a role for you.
Yeah.
You might have best case, you have months.
Fair.
Bodybuilding, if that's a thing that you're going to compete in,
Yeah.
you've been preparing for that likely for years.
Gotcha.
And you're preparing for something that is more or less going to be the same every time you compete in it. Whereas acting, like every role is going to be different.
Okay.
Even if you're doing a live performance for theater, every performance is probably going to be slightly different.
Every performance is, yeah. You do one weekend, it's opening weekend, and your adrenaline's out the roof.
Yep.
The second day, maybe.
Or like one of your co-stars screws up, and you have to like kind of save it too.
Yeah.
So you never know what's going to happen. So I think that is more challenging, probably in a sense that is more reactive than it would be for bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is almost like if you didn't prep well enough, too bad. Like there's no making it work on the day of. You just, if you're not good enough, too bad.
And I like to think there's some sort of similarities there. Like,
actually, yeah,
because
saying that out loud, I bet that's the same to an extent.
I always like to over prepare.
No such thing though, right?
Right. And the thing is, but I always tell myself, right off the bat, same thing with an audition versus this person did the work. Right. And that's where I'm trying to get with the similarities of like, this guy knows his shit.
Yeah, exactly.
If an actor,
it will look effortless.
Yes.
If they're well prepped. Yeah.
Right. And so you know who's trying hard, who's not done the work. And that's the similarities that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I get the process in a whole is a lot different.
Yeah.
But when it boils down to it, when you're on a stage of any sort of magnitude, whether it's an artist or a actor or a bodybuilder, there's some level of preparation that goes into it. So that way you can be, and that's where you see the best of the best shine.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes people stand out. Right. And I think there's outliers to that, but at least for acting,
that's one of those things. If you come across the outlier who they're just so talented, they can just show up and make it work. That's got to be like one of those moments where you're just kind of in awe. Like you're so lucky to be a fly on the wall in that moment. And that applies, I'm sure, to acting, but even to certain things. There's a couple of, if we use the example of bodybuilding, a couple of bodybuilders, not that they didn't work really hard, But man, some of the guys that I've seen at the top of natural bodybuilding, you could see pictures of them when they were kids, and they are more muscular than I've become after 15 years of kid or
Right.
something.
Yeah. They're not even trying either, right?
I mean, whether they were, they weren't. It's like once they put in the effort, what they've become is just remarkable.
Yeah.
And it really is one of those things where they could wipe the floor with me when I get on stage, and it's like you almost just sit back and in appreciation of how good they are.
Yeah.
And
that's also the cool part too of like art, where there is always people like that.
Yeah.
And you put in 3 times as much work,
Mhm.
and they go up there and they shine.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck. Like, they were eating hot dogs or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I again, there's something about live performing that just you feed off of the energy of the crowd.
Mhm.
And again, that's another tangible where the crowd one night may laugh at a joke,
And it misses next.
the next night you're like, oh my Lord.
Oh man.
What did I just say here? Right?
Yeah.
Versus film and television, it's you don't get that until the reaction of the critics or someone else after.
That's interesting to think about. Yeah.
And that's why I do like film or theater a lot too, because
You know right away.
you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How scary was it for you to kind of make the plunge? Or is there a point in time where you thought to yourself, okay, I'm going to make a career out of this? Or was that a gradual transition for you?
I still battle with that. I think the earlier steps were, how can I make a career out of it?
Mhm.
Then you start to get paid a little more for your work.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how can you make a living out of it? Right. So it's like the career aspect was like, can you do a couple jobs? Do you want to do a couple jobs? I think the thing about acting or the film industry is you have to look at what you want your career to look like.
Mhm.
Because for some people, success may be, I'm okay working a day job, doing a couple of shows every 5 years.
Yeah.
Some people want to be on the red carpet, right? That's not necessarily my goal.
What is your goal then?
My goal is to make art that people are inspired by, really. And
Yeah.
how can I make a living out of that? Where it's like, I can be comfortable. I can give my parents experiences. I can give people in my circle experiences and not have to worry.
Yeah.
Right. So that with that in mind, it's
Do you mean like worry financially?
financially.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's an important part. But it boils down to, and I still struggle with it because there are moments throughout the year where you're not making as much from that career.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
So where I am in my life now,
Mhm.
I like to think Christine and I have done like pretty well
Mhm.
to figure out our careers, and we're okay financially,
Yeah.
whatever you say. But
Right.
I have learned that the way you want to provide for your people,
Mhm.
very likely the things that your people want from you is just your time and attention.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I used to think that it would be really cool one day to buy my dad a car. And like that still would be.
Yeah.
Dad, if you're listening, can't do it right now. Sorry. But
one day.
maybe one day.
Yeah.
But also I'm pretty certain
Yeah.
that even if I did buy him a car, he would rather I just not have worked as much as I worked and spent that extra time,
Mhm.
Whatever time I spent earning a car for him.
Yeah.
He would have rather just spent that time with me.
For sure.
And I know your parents well enough to
Yeah.
say somewhat confident that's probably true for both of them as well.
And I think when I talk, and maybe I rephrase.
Well, I'm glad that you say experiences,
That's the thing.
right?
Yeah.
Because that's something that you share with them. But I do want to at least, if I can impart some wisdom, having screwed up some things in my own life
Yeah.
to you, it may be that a lot of times the things that you may want to provide to your people,
Right.
they aren't things that require you to work harder or
Mm.
to achieve more.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that
Coming home more.
pay attention to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And understand that as much as it sucks to think about, we don't get to live forever. So like, we, for the listeners, you obviously know because you were there, but for the listeners, we, this past weekend, were with our whole, the Yasuda side of the family because our grandmother was turning 90. And that for her, and for all of us, I'm sure it was like a very special thing.
Yeah.
It's really nice to have everybody together. And I think that just as you kind of are reminded that you don't get to live forever, those moments become so much more valuable than buying a car
For
or
sure.
whatever the thing is,
Yeah.
right? Or even, that experience may seem somewhat mundane because we just went out to lunch,
Mhm.
just right. But also, like that experience is something that even for me, I'm sure I'm going to remember for a very long time, if not forever. Bachan for sure will remember forever.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling you that you're doing it wrong, but I do want to caution you against, because I've definitely done that myself, where
Mhm.
I tell myself that I'm working really hard
Right.
and I'm killing myself in that way
Yeah.
for the benefit of the people around me.
Of course.
That's not true. I think so often for myself it was, and for many of the very high achieving people that I've coached, it's kind of selfish.
Yeah.
It's from a place of like ego or maybe in a way arrogance. You want those things for yourself.
Right.
And it's very easy for you to tell yourself this story that it somehow also benefits your family and your
Right.
friends. And it might to some extent,
Yeah.
but almost never as much as you just giving them time and attention.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think what I wish I would have had said first was that, like, it is always some of the most gratifying things for me are that in this industry, there's a lot of opportunities I get to have with my family that not necessarily everybody gets to have. And I
Yeah.
think that those are the moments where it's like someone will tell my mom, yo, Davis was in this. And she's like,
Or
what?
somebody will tell me Davis was in a Waba Grill commercial.
Yeah, right though. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, for real.
But those moments for me, it's like, I just hope that they're proud because they sacrificed so much for me.
Yeah.
Right. And same thing with Bachan. It's like, I didn't think about this in the moment, but when I was driving home, I was like, we're only there because of her.
Mhm.
Right. So what her and Jichan had done, sacrificed to come to the United States. What I hope she gets out of it is that all of that is possible because of her.
Yeah.
Right. So it's pretty neat that one person has that power to bring a family together and seeing how much it grows. And those are things where it's like being able to, my dad's not a Dodger fan, but like to bring him
Take him to a Dodger game. Yeah.
yeah,
Make him watch.
yeah, right. It's like, okay, well, Shohei's here, right? Like, give him experiences that not necessarily everybody can do, and that for me, as they get older, is what I want, right? And that's, you're right. The money will come.
Don't get me wrong. Like money matters.
It does, and
I know that makes people uncomfortable, but it does because in a lot of ways that is both your security and freedom.
yeah.
If you don't have enough, then you will spend the rest of your life trying to figure out how to earn enough to be okay.
For sure.
So if you have a way to make enough that you are then secure in that sense, you have the freedom to spend your time how you'd like.
Yes, which in return you can able to give people.
That's how you take care of people.
Right, right. So I think you did a great job at explaining that fine line, right? Like,
yeah. And I mean, it's something that I think I've learned somewhat painfully. And I hope that you do so less painfully if you can. Do you think that your family, or Bachan's a good example, do you think she understands what you do? She must know that you're an actor.
It's funny because I think we've talked about this also. It's honestly the older generation that has pushed me more in a sense sometimes. Like I have my grandmother that passed away that was in camp. You would think that she'd be like, go get your degree, go get a working job, go.
Explain that for the people who don't know what you're talking about.
Japanese Americans that came over from Japan during the war were considered the enemy. And they were put into camps across the West Coast, which were basically.
To be clear, some of these people had been here for like a generation, maybe
For
part
sure.
of a generation.
Yeah.
They'd built businesses and families.
Were Americans, basically, essentially. They were.
Through and through, they were Americans.
Yeah, they were
citizens.
Citizens, yeah.
And still, go ahead.
They did everything that they were supposed to, and ultimately were told, pick your stuff up. We're sending you to these horse stalls to live for however long. There was no end date. And they had to figure out a brand new life. And when they came back, they weren't given any of it. They had to restart. And it's a big part of the history that we come from. But going back to it, when someone has worked so hard through that, you would think that they would tell you to get a degree, go work a full-time job, you know,
Yeah.
be stable. It was almost always my grandmother and another grandmother of mine that I call grandma, but both of them were telling me, go pursue this, right? And it's also like, uh, they would watch Shogun and be like, I could see you in that role, right? Like, I'm always thinking about you. Like, you can
This is
do
the only
this.
Japanese show that I know.
Yeah. I don't know anything else. But yeah, it's really gratifying to see the older generation understand the importance of like going out and pursuing something that you are passionate about. And I know that each generation is different, but I think also I'm very fortunate with my own parents that have been so maybe not not verbal to me about how crazy I may have been, but they've been very open to allowing me to make my mistakes,
Yeah.
learn from them, always understand that they're there for me when I need them, which has been something that's been hard to grasp sometimes, but I wouldn't have wanted any other parents, right? Especially being Asian. Sometimes there's a way things are in the Asian culture, right?
For sure.
Yeah. And
there's a certain level of expectation, right?
there is. And I think for someone to be doing something so outlier-ish, for them to be okay walking around and saying, yeah, this is my son and he's doing this. And I'm trying to put it out in the universe that I am grateful for it. Like if anything, when I leave this industry, when I'm done with it, I want them to know that it's because of them that have allowed me to go be an artist. And in some sense, right, like my mom grew up on a farm. Like that's art in itself. My dad is a dentist, and that's definitely art in itself, right? Like creating.
Yeah, there is some artistry in that. Like when you have to make a tooth.
There's bad dentists out there that don't do as good. Like your dad, my dad will take.
That's so funny when you first. The way you said that, I first thought you were saying like there's bad dentists out there, like your dad.
Father, when you watch this, my teeth are amazing, and I saw you this morning. No, but I'm serious. Like there are people who don't put as much effort into the craft, right?
Yeah.
And my dad is one of those people who, I keep saying that weird, but he does put 100% into his work. And when I see him around people and the work that he puts into being a dentist, it pushes me to want to go even further.
Yeah.
Right. So it's an art in itself, and they may not see it, but they have helped me want to go pursue something different as well.
Did you always feel like your family and the people around you were supportive or confident in the choice that you were making?
No.
No.
Yeah, it's hard to say yes to something like that in an industry that is already set up to fail.
Yeah.
But I think.
What do you mean by that?
I think when you look at the entertainment business, there's already a negative connotation of what you call success. And that's where you have to really define what you think success is in this industry, right?
Yeah.
Because what people think is red carpet, IMAX, millions of dollars a year, box office.
Yeah.
That may not be what you consider success, and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
But if you verbally talk to your people around you in your circle, they're not like, he hasn't made it here. They're not, But I think the nice thing for people in my circle is that once you start to make a little monetary value from it, they're like, okay, I'm a little more confident in it. But yeah, I think I've always stressed my parents on decisions that I've made, whether it's like transferring, or coming home or switching majors, or I've always took the untraditional route.
Sure. Why? Why do you think you're the way that you are?
They're going to hate me for saying this, but I think it's also because of them. I think it's because of them also. I think they've given me, another thing that I'm grateful for, and I wish more parents would do this, is they allow me to try so many things as a child. So I wasn't pigeonholed to one thing to realize. They allowed me to make my mistakes early on, but they also allowed me to try the arts, try different sports. I was part of like leadership and student life, or being a part of. I grew up Buddhist.
Same.
And yeah.
You went to the same church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they sent me to a private Catholic high school.
That's right. Yeah.
So I was forced to see two different sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Where I was an outlier without realizing it the moment I was, however old you are, going into high school.
Yep.
Did I like that? No. I hated it. But they always made me stick things out.
Yeah.
So whether it was Boy Scouts, whether it was sports, I always had to see things through.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're going to hate me for saying this, but I do believe I am the way I am because of them.
That's great though. Like the idea that you can make whatever choice you want, but you have to live with it.
You do. And that's something I try and live my life right now, where it's, when I make a decision, whether it was good or bad, I try and not look back and regret it. Because you're going to make a lot of decisions in this industry that may not work out for the best for you, but it's going to hurt you if you're regretting it or you're beating yourself around it that, 10 years ago or 2 years ago, I shouldn't have signed with this person, or like, that's just the nature of it, right? It's all a risk at the end of the day.
But you can't really know.
You can't. And that's the part where it's like you're making decisions where you have to be all in and you just go for it. And however it plays out is however it's going to play out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do think ultimately my parents did a great job at not knowing at the time, but what they put me into and the people that they surrounded me with allowed me to, at a very young age, open my eyes when I didn't even want to, right? So just being in those tough situations of my religion teacher my freshman year would always ask, what is Buddhism? And I'm like, I don't know, but having to have that tough conversation because there was some imposter syndrome when I would go to mass and I'm like trying to fit in, but I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never prayed before,
Yeah.
So all those moments and experiences helped me to build a foundation of like, now as in my late 20s, I'm like, yeah, no, I can make decisions and be comfortable with it and just move on.
Yeah.
So yeah, my parents.
Not to make this like pseudo philosophical or religious, but I do think I recognize in you some things that we probably learned. Do you remember Rinban Bob?
Of course.
Yeah. So
how could
you
not?
You know he has like a series of talks. I think it's called Buddhism for Dummies.
I wish. How did I not know about that though?
Go find it. It's worth watching. Honestly,
Yeah.
I've watched it in the past few years, probably once, at least once.
Yeah.
But kind of the same thing. There was a time he was asked, "What is Buddhism?" when he was in school, and he didn't actually know the answer. So he said something like, "It would take too long to answer right now. We don't have enough time. I'm sorry."
Perfect answer for
him. Yeah, honestly, but I do think that there's a lot of conceptually, we were Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, which is like, I don't know, Buddhism for the modern world. Traditional Buddhism is more like life is suffering. You want to escape that by attaining enlightenment or reaching nirvana, which is the end of reincarnation.
Yep.
Jodo Shinshu is more, it's kind of just like, don't live in excess.
Yeah.
Don't live in squalor.
Right.
Be good to the people around you and understand that life is impermanent.
Would you say it's more of a way of life than
I think any religion or philosophy could be, right?
Yeah.
But specifically the idea of impermanence lending itself to gratitude. Like you should be grateful even for the mistakes you might have made. I hear a lot of that when I speak to you or hearing you talk about some of the things that you've done.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to think about things where even if maybe you look back and you think to yourself, you could have done better at X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
You can say that, but also still know that contributed to where you are now. Right.
For sure. Yeah.
Buddhism aside, what do you think has been the hardest or maybe scariest part about making that transition or that plunge into this career path?
That's a great question because I don't know if I even like it. I really don't know if
it doesn't have to be the superlative. It could be like just instances where you felt worried, scared, unsure.
Yeah. The audition process is probably early on where I was like, ooh, is this something that I was signed to a rep early on in my career that was signed a lot of Asian Americans.
Mhm.
I thought it was in my benefit because I'm like, he knows how to push these people. We all
Mhm.
look the same.
We all look the same.
Yeah, we do though. We're gonna generalize this into this category. But what I actually realized was that it hurt me because his entire roster would be at the same audition.
Oh,
And the hard part for me to wrap my
so he wins either way then. One
it
of his
is.
guys is gonna get picked. Yeah.
It's and I get that. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
Because we're all trying to make money.
Yep.
And the more people you can have on your roster going to the same audition, one of them will get picked, like you said. So for me, it was combating the part of understanding early on that there are a lot of Asians. There's a lot of 6'1". There's a lot of
Probably way more than you would guess, right?
that's actually that was my first shock. I was like,
Yeah.
where are all these people coming from?
Because people always talk about, and not that I know, people always talk about how underrepresented Asians are in Hollywood. And I think that's kind of true if you look at like mainstream stuff.
Mhm.
But it doesn't surprise me that much to hear that you go to a casting call and there's like a ton of guys who look kind of like you.
That yes, and that's what people don't understand is that there's a surplus of us that
Yeah, but there's a shortage of roles.
there is.
That's where the underrepresentation comes from, and that's hard being you then.
It is.
Because there's like 100 guys going for one role,
People think like, oh, there's not a lot of Asian actors, but there is so many.
and it's not like if you don't get it, it's not like they can put you into a different role. Well, usually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that's
they're doing
tricky.
a better job at that now. They're seeing more opportunities for not typecasting with Asians, but
Yeah.
it still is very narrow.
Yeah.
That role selection is very narrow.
But I mean, I think there are things you can do, like we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
You not being, I think the negative archetypal Asian male is kind of small, effeminate,
Yeah.
passive.
Right.
I don't think you need to be exactly the opposite of that, but having or demonstrating, even physically, like being larger, being in shape,
Yeah.
perhaps more muscular than average, things like that. Or we were talking about the possibility of doing roles where like you are doing more, not like action hero stuff, but something like that. But like having capabilities
Yeah.
like that are not necessarily very traditional, like kung fu, stuff like that. You know, I think that makes you much more versatile and also
Yeah.
more likely to earn yourself roles that are not, typecast.
And I do try and play to that aspect.
Yeah.
Where it's like I would love to do the jumping out of a plane kind of role, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm not opposed to playing the scientist or doctor, but
Mm.
I do know for my age, my look, there is a possibility, right? Like I do think with time and even the older I get, there may be even more possibility to play those action roles.
Yeah.
And
That would be so cool.
it would. I
Yeah.
love that manifesting that right now. But I do like when I do think about roles that I would love to play, it's like Jedi is on top of that list, right? Like I would love to see more Asian Jedi or
If you get cast as like an evil villain, can I be your henchman?
would love that. You're number one on, I'm texting my agent and saying,
And
I
then-
got a guy for you.
And if you need like a midget henchman, you can hire Christine.
Christine, I hope you hear that. Erica. Yeah. Erica and Christine. We've already got the movie there.
There we go. It's the whole thing. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would love to play more. And I do think with the demeanor, I could play roles like that where
Yeah.
it's like I can tap into that villain side or whatever you want to call it. But that will take time. But I do think there's opportunities for me out there. And,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see what comes from that. Yeah.
I know that you're kind of still young
Mhm.
in your acting career, but
Yeah.
I think that you've been successful to an extent that you could still give people advice. If somebody were looking to get into acting or
Yeah.
you have like a younger actor out there, what do you think is the most valuable advice you can give them?
See, that's tough too, because I'm always looking for advice. But
Of course. Here, I'll frame it differently for you. What do
Yeah.
you think is the most valuable thing you've learned in your time pursuing acting?
It takes time.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be moments where you get ahead of yourself. Just always be open to taking that step back and re-looking at your career. I think another one is surround yourself early on with a circle that you trust. I think it's very easy because of the networking and opportunities that could come up to start bouncing around from people to people. But if you can have that, whether it's your family, your significant other, a gym, like I really use fitness as an outlet.
Yeah.
But just being able to have something that allows you to take a step away from acting, because it's very easy to get wrapped up and you have to continue. If I'm not booking, I'm not booking. What can I do?
Yeah.
That will eat you up.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think I've gone through things like a couple months ago mentally when I made some decisions for my career, turning some things down. And then after that, having nothing on the table, it's like, it's very easy to be like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But then understanding like things happen for a reason, you're going to understand, you're going to feel what's right for you. But being able to have that immediate circle to remember like your career is your career. Another great example is you start to go out for roles with other people and you'll potentially not get them, but your friend will. Be happy for them.
Yeah. That's a weird feeling though. It must be, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've woken up before and I've seen people and they've gotten a role that I've gotten. And my immediate response is I want to throw my phone out the window. But, you know, again, it's like I genuinely want more people to be successful in this career.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, then I hope they wish the same for me. And I do believe that there is opportunity for everyone, right? We don't need to gatekeep and hold things to just ourselves. But yeah, just ultimately just be a good person, be humble about it, but be aggressive in the pursuit for it. Like, don't let anyone tell you, because there's going to be a lot of conversations where they're going to tell you you're not good.
Yeah.
Right. And in those moments, get fed up, right?
Yeah.
Go for it, right? So yeah, there's a lot of advice, but everyone's career, especially in this industry, is going to look different.
Sure.
So don't think just because you see one person doing the food industry and they made it, you have to do that, right? There's so many different opportunities. And that's the exciting part about it. Be excited about that, right? Like, be excited to have an opportunity to be different.
Yeah.
And don't just try and fit in.
Do you think that in order to succeed and get to a point where you are working as much as you'd like or on the things that you'd like, does it almost require a certain level of the word I want to pick is courage, but you know, you stand to be rejected way more times than you'll ever be called back, right?
90% of the time you're going to be rejected.
Probably more than 90%, I think.
Yeah.
So you as an actor, you probably have to then be willing to like face that most of the time.
Yeah.
And find ways to deal with that too, right?
Yes. You'll know early on if you really want to do it, right? Because the rejection will either get to you. What I always say too is going back to the circle, but you do need to be a little delusional in that pursuit again.
Sure.
Where you need to understand not every role is for you. Great example for this is I recently did a commercial for a specific drink. I saw who they casted and I said, that's not me.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Right? I thought I did a great job, but.
And maybe you did do a great job, right?
Right.
They just went a different direction.
Exactly. So you don't beat yourself up because you're hearing the no. There's so many tangibles when it comes to casting, right? Casting may just not really be feeling it that day and you happen to be going in.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't like this guy, right? Or you may not be tall enough or you may not be short enough. Like, there is a lot of tangibles that go into it.
Yeah.
And they're seeing so many people that when you do get it, just be grateful that you got it.
Yeah.
But also, you know, even there's that stat for how many people get auditions in general. And even that part is very low.
Yeah.
So then to get a callback and then do a screening or a chemistry read, like the process, people forget, it's like, it's not just one audition.
Yeah.
And you're on TV.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's so many different steps. You're meeting with the director, you're meeting with the producers, you're meeting with the studios. Like, just because the director likes you doesn't mean someone else is going to like you. You may not get along with your co-star. You may not, I don't know. There's just a lot of tangibles that for you to beat yourself up over that, you're going to not be successful.
Yeah. The likelihood of you actually getting to the point where you are cast and let's say you get to the point where you finished a project,
Right.
it's so astronomically low, right?
Yes. Yes.
That for you to even be there at all is something to be grateful for. But even to get partway through,
Yeah.
also probably something to be both impressed with and grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how would you though? So say you do get rejected,
Yeah.
and it happens all the time. Like, how do you make sure that that doesn't bug you or eat away at you?
I've gotten to a point where it's like once the audition's done, I try really hard to forget about it.
Mm,
To the point where it's like if I have a script, I will throw it away the moment I'm done.
yeah,
I used to want to keep all the scripts, but then
yeah,
I'm like, didn't get that one, didn't get that one, didn't get that
yeah.
one. So again, it's a lot easier said than done. It comes with practice.
Mhm.
But one thing I will also say is even though you don't get to know right away, I've had instances where they'll call you back for something else,
Yeah.
right? You never know. So just be happy that you got the opportunity to audition. And then also just think about it as an opportunity for you to get your name out there,
Yeah.
right? Because again, they're casting for numerous projects. You may not be fit for that role, but they may consider you for another one.
Yeah.
So try really hard to forget about it when you're done because you should try and leave everything you got on that floor.
For sure.
And you'll know, like, there's been times where I'm like, I just shit the bed so bad, right? Like, I theater specifically, there was one when I was starting out, I drove out to LA. I apparently didn't get the sides for my audition. And I guess a lot of the other actors had gotten them. So I got them maybe 5 minutes before.
Oh, well.
So, yeah. So you're already like, where's this going, right? So I'm like, let me make the most of this. And I made the most of it to what I thought, but I knew right away. I was like, it's the best I could have done, right? And I'm like, if I get it, I get it, great. But this is the opportunity that I had. I had 5 minutes to go over my side. So at that point, the nerves start kicking in, and it's just more about like going out there and having fun.
Yeah.
So I really try and just use auditions to really just practice the craft.
That's a good point, though. I think it's worth because plenty of people who hear this are not going to be people who are pursuing acting, but just in a general sense, it's a good practice or standard to hold yourself to that how you go about doing, let's say, one audition,
Mhm.
that should be whatever your standard is, and that should be the same all the time,
Course.
presumably pretty high.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of there's a business I ran for a handful of years where I ended up leaving after some time,
Mhm.
and I even when the resources weren't where they needed to be, even when just certain things weren't going our way, I very much believe how you do one thing is how you do all things, and people just know that. Whether you ever tell them that or not doesn't matter. They just know that. So every interaction I had in my time with that company, I tried my damnedest to make sure that everybody would remember me positively.
Yeah.
So when I parted ways with my company, and people in the industry found out,
Mhm.
I had job offers from every one of the biggest firms in the industry.
Yeah.
I didn't take any of them.
Right.
I was just kind of done with the job.
Yeah.
But it felt good knowing that that was recognized, that they kind of were familiar with the standard that I held to, and they knew they could expect the same should they decide to work with me.
Mhm.
And I think the same thing for you. Like, you may miss out on 95% of the roles you pursue, but like you said, like some of those misses, they're not really misses. They're misses for now.
Right.
Until that person or that, casting director, whoever,
Mhm.
they remember you because you did so well at that. It just wasn't the right fit for the past role.
Right.
But they found something that maybe is a better fit for you,
Yeah.
a better opportunity for you.
And what I hope people get to that don't understand the entertainment business is that there's a lot of correlations from acting to real life.
For sure. Yeah.
As you mentioned, the way you do treat people or the way you are perceived can help you or hurt you,
Mhm.
right? If you're trying to get another job,
Yeah. There's no neutral.
there's not.
It's either good or bad for you.
Everyone has an opinion
Mhm.
about who you are, what you do. And that's why I do feel like people can learn the idea that like just because you don't want to necessarily be there at that moment, you don't know who's watching or um, paying attention.
Yeah.
So I do think the way you go about your business matters.
Yeah.
Right. And it matters more than you think.
It does.
Because everyone that you interact with, or even people you don't interact with, like they're going to see you. Obviously, they're going to decide to have an idea physically.
Or maybe they hear from somebody else too,
Right.
right?
That's a big one, actually.
If you're remarkable in either direction, whether you're remarkable in a positive way or a negative way, people will hear about it probably.
Yeah.
And that could be good or bad.
Right. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is, to this point in your life, the hardest thing that you've ever done? 10 miles on a treadmill.
Easily.
That sounds dreadful. I don't know why you did that on the treadmill.
They do call it the treadmill. Now that you say that, it is up there. But I think taking a chance on myself. I think, again, you know my life to an extent, and you know that I've never really done anything to the traditional route.
Sure.
I think every step that I take that takes a chance on myself, there's a lot of self-doubt in the beginning.
Sure.
And I think that's what's most challenging. What I realize is that in the process, me taking that step, it does ultimately work out the way it's supposed to. But in those beginning phases, however long it is, it's always those hardest moments for me where it's like, am I doing the right thing?
I mean, you kind of touched on this earlier, but I think it's necessary with many things that you almost delude yourself into confidence.
And I'm very delusional.
But you know, like, let's say there's a role where you're like kind of teetering, like maybe you're not sure that you are the best fit, but you decide to pursue it anyway. Should you make that choice at that point, then it's necessary for you to, again, whether you need to delude yourself or not, you need to believe that you can, that it's within reason that you earn that role and that you do it really well. Because if not, if you go into that thinking that, oh, this is probably not going to work out, you will only perform worse than you could have. Right? Like for you to perform at a level that gives you even a chance, you have to believe that it could work.
Right.
And you might be wrong.
Right.
Oh, well.
Right.
I think the same thing is true of so many things. Like whenever you take a chance, like in your career or on a micro scale, say you're attempting a new deadlift record for yourself. You don't actually, if it's a weight you've never touched or never successfully made, you don't know if you can do that. But if you enter that thinking to yourself, oh, I wonder if this is going to happen. I don't think so, but I'm going to try it. That's not going to help.
Yeah. And again, this is like another piece of advice for like new beginners. It's like, don't worry about the outcome. Actually stop thinking about it and just go for it. Because you ultimately don't know how it's going to play out. And that's with anything in life. It's like, have that goal in mind, but once you think about it, forget about it. That stop beating yourself up over trying to figure out so strategically how you're supposed to get there. Like, work on it every single day, understanding that just work hard. I think that's the big thing for me is like, people they try and skip and go A to Z instead of go A to B, back to A sometimes. And then it's like, you have to understand it's just not a straight line.
Yeah.
And too many times, like, I just think that we're programmed, especially in growing up. It's like, you go to elementary school, you go to high school, then you go to college, and then it's supposed to be, what was supposed to be that degree is supposed to help you get a job. And then the job leads to,
oops.
So, I think more now than ever, it's like, I hope people and wish people could just work hard every day and then understand that it may not actually work out. Most of the time, it's not actually going to work out the way you thought it was.
Sure.
But it's a variation of that. And then when you get there, just be happy that you have that, right? Yeah. Like, you got to stop beating yourself up over because it didn't happen when I was 27. It's never going to happen, right? Like, it still could happen. You just it's not the timeline that you expected, right? So that doesn't mean give up.
Yeah.
That's just to rework the problem, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. Many of the capabilities that you need to build to succeed in anything, they're the same. It's just applied differently. And I think that, say you were, maybe you probably don't do this, but if you decided one day to be done with acting to pursue a different career entirely, just as an example, you could do that.
Right.
And I think all of the lessons you'd learned from your acting career and everything that came before that, they would still apply. or they would still be useful, they just be applied differently.
Mhm.
And I'd go as far as saying that confidence, it does come from you kind of stacking up
Mm.
a bunch of evidence that you can succeed at whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
But I think people make the mistake of thinking that it has to be extremely specific to the pursuit. So,
Right.
say for example, I at some point in my life when I was competing in bodybuilding and powerlifting, I did pretty well, and
Mhm.
I built the confidence that I could do well in those sports. If I confined it to that and just let it be that, then it wouldn't really be that useful from anywhere else.
Yeah.
But the sort of characteristics that you have to build to be good at those things are the same that would require for me to be good in business.
Mm.
Um, or actually, most specifically, I could say building my first business of coaching.
Yeah.
That made me really good at business at a larger scale, but again, applied very differently. So it's not like I can only take evidence from this one avenue in my life and apply it within that avenue. I can apply it anywhere.
Mhm.
It's almost having faith that you will figure out how to use it,
Right.
not necessarily figure out like success in and of itself. I don't think you ever really figure out because you could try your hardest and you could have every opportunity and still fail.
But part of it is you could, right? Your early endeavors when you were younger, when you start a business, you're excited about it, you're hopeful for it.
Mhm.
And when it doesn't work out the way you want to, what was that thing that enabled you to, when you wanted to start the second one? A lot of people would be like, I'm too scared to do that. Like, I failed at this first one. You didn't necessarily, maybe you did for a little bit, but what allowed you to say, I'm going to pivot and start this next one? Right? Because I think for a lot of people, there is a level of like scaredness
Yeah.
because they failed at, or quote unquote, didn't be successful at what they
Well,
thought.
like you were saying with like saying getting cast for a role,
Mhm.
whatever the stats are,
Yeah.
business is probably just as bad. I
Mhm.
think the numbers are actually something like in the first year,
Mm.
90% of businesses will fail.
Mm.
That second year, like another 90%. And so
Yeah.
like you eventually reach a point where it's more stable, but
Right.
it's really unusual um, that a business exists, 3 years after its inception.
Mm.
Um, so to think that you could do that is kind of a crazy thing to think. And there is an aspect of that concept, like the delusional confidence. I would honestly say it borders on arrogance sometimes
I would
to
agree with
think
that.
that you are well enough sorted and your opportunities are so good and you're hard enough working and you're smart enough that you could succeed where, you know, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people before you have failed, just in business in general.
Yeah.
And to me, there's an aspect of that where I'll allow myself to believe, like, okay, I am the lucky one who's going to make this work, but it's because I have to believe that.
Yeah.
The other piece of that, though, is I I also don't know that I care if a specific thing works out or not.
Mm.
So at this point in my life, I can count. I think the way I normally say is like 5.5 businesses that I've started,
Mhm.
of which only one I still run.
Mm.
There's a few. I would say 2.5 succeeded in a meaningful way.
Fair, fair.
But whatever limited success I've had, I think that every time something didn't work out, I never thought to myself, "Oh, I am not cut out for this." It's more so like I'm gonna try again.
Yeah.
I'll try enough times. I'll probably fail a bunch more times than I'll succeed,
Yeah.
but I'll try enough times and I'll continue to do that
Mm.
long enough that I'll eventually find some semblance of success somewhere.
Right.
And the thing is, like the things that I did that did succeed are not the things I would have guessed.
Mm.
So you never really know, but you also have to be willing to take the chance and be willing to fail and to be willing to deal with like the heartache and the sorrow and the
Yeah.
pain of failure. Um,
Gotcha.
but I think to your point, many people they go through most people who start a business, that first one doesn't work.
Mm.
And it cripples them emotionally. Honestly, maybe as well it should. And they never want to come back to it.
Mm.
And I get that.
Yeah.
There's a large part of me actually, even nowadays, that would never want to build a business past a certain size again.
Gotcha.
Just because the nature of the failure, if it should fail, is more than I want to deal with.
Yeah.
But I guess to answer your question, I don't know what it is that has allowed me to try again and again.
Right.
Maybe one aspect of that, at least, though, is I is a bit of an unfair advantage because it's not like I really think I earned this, but my first business having succeeded. So the first business being Titanium Fitness,
Right.
that one worked.
Of course.
And it worked phenomenally well.
Yeah.
I attribute a lot of that to timing.
Timing's everything. Yeah.
Timing is a lot of it. Yeah. Some of it certainly to luck, but the fact that that one worked, I think it did definitely change the way that I thought.
And you kind of need moments like that though.
Yeah, but it worked in both ways. Like the second business I started, I just assumed it was going to work out,
right.
and it didn't.
Yeah.
And what a learning experience to have. But also, I do think having that first one succeed did allow me to be more confident than maybe I should have been.
Or a little bit of that false sense, a little
bit.
Yeah.
But that's useful to an extent, right?
It is. You need that a little bit.
The other thing, though, I believe it is very important, like you were saying earlier, to surround yourself with people who, for one, are rooting for you regardless of whether or not it benefits them.
Yeah.
And two, who are capable of reminding you that it's okay and it doesn't necessarily mean that much about you if you should fail at something. If you fail at everything, it's a bad sign. But if you fail at one thing or a few things, it happens.
And I think that would be the next, because I'm genuinely curious about this. Like, we've talked a lot, but I don't think it predates like your businesses. What I'm curious about is like during college, those moments when you made tough decisions, what kind of went through your mind about, I'm doing this, I'm not.
You mean like when I left school?
Yes. Yeah. And because in retrospect, and I've told you this, but like, I do look up to you in that aspect of, and we've talked about this too, like, I'm crazy, but you're crazy also, where you're doing things untraditional. And I do think part of it too is like, what I'm inspired by is like the ability to continue going, which is why I asked you that last question. But I do believe it starts before those, and it starts in college, where you made decisions to not necessarily stick that part of your life through and pivot as well. Like, before those businesses, what led you to want to do that? And then I'm curious on like what you thought the perception around you was and how people took that, if you're open to talking about that. Because that's the kind of stuff that like had inspired me in my earlier years as well. But just maybe the delusion or the confidence to be okay leaving a university like that and taking the chance on yourself.
I think you're right. So some of that, I would say it goes back as far as when I was really young. And you know how earlier we were talking about it's a very normal thing for like our generation of Asian Americans to play basketball. That's supposed to be the sport.
Yeah.
I know how funny that sounds for people listening, but that was a thing.
It's a thing here in Sacramento.
And my chosen sport as young as the age of 6 was golf.
True.
And that was not a normal choice to make.
No.
It was not a choice that a lot of the people, like my family, were really excited about either.
Fair.
My dad liked playing with me, but I think that he probably would have rather I played baseball or basketball at a higher level because he related to that more, at least back then.
Yeah. So
for me, I don't know why I chose that. Honestly, I really couldn't tell you.
There wasn't like you just picked it up kind of thing, or
it's not even like I was good when I started. I just I think what it was actually was the opposite. I was bad. I was really bad when I first started, and even as a young child, it bothered me a lot to be bad at anything.
I do think that's a work ethic that I've seen even now, and that's something that I'm in awe of still.
That's kind of you to say. I don't know that it's always been the best thing for me, like in terms of my my mental health, but even from a young age, like I chose that thing maybe because I knew it was going to be very hard.
Yeah.
And some part of me really wanted that. And then as the years went by and I like competed for real in golf.
Yeah.
Even then, I don't think I was particularly gifted, but the one thing I felt I was confident in was that nobody was going to work more or harder than me. And I to some extent, that's not the wisest way to approach a problem. But to some extent, if that's the resource that you have in abundance, if that's the only one you've got, that exists in an almost infinite capacity, depending on what you're willing to give to it.
Yeah.
I do think, again, like it's not wise to make that your only tool, but when you're a kid, that's all you really have. So there's an aspect of that, I guess. And I definitely carried that with me past that point into academics to some extent.
Yeah.
Definitely into sport afterwards. So, bodybuilding, powerlifting, that kind of thing. When it comes to that path of me leaving school, like you said, very traditional to that point was, do as well as you can,
Right.
top of your class, go to a good school.
Yeah.
Leaving UCLA, it was never really a choice. I thought to myself, it wasn't really a thing that I thought of as me leaving and never going back at the time that I did it.
Okay.
I kind of thought that I was going to finish elsewhere.
Mm.
And in the interim of me kind of like transferring
Yeah.
and getting that all sorted and switching major and everything, I was already running the business out of my dorm room at LA. And it got to a point in the kind of, not the gap, but the transition period between two. It was supposed to be UCLA to Sac State,
Yeah.
but in that transition period where I had to fill some prereqs,
Mm.
I was really focused on building the business to see what I could do with it. And it got to a point where it's like, okay, maybe I could give this a real go.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the tipping point for me. Is I eventually, I think I'd already made up my mind.
Mhm.
The hardest part though was telling my family.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody who knows an Asian American or is an Asian American can probably imagine how that went.
Yeah.
And nothing against my parents. Like I look back on that conversation and it's not like a happy memory at all.
Mm.
Far from it. But I understand.
Yeah.
I've tried really hard to understand why they felt the way that they did. And you imagine, like our family, our bachan, our grandpa and grandma coming over here and finding a way to provide for all of their children
Yeah.
to even have a chance then to, scratch and claw their way to a career that would then afford their families, a decent way of life. And then for my parents then to dream of me doing the thing, earning my spot at a high level university,
Which you did.
becoming, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And,
Sure. Whatever.
becoming, whatever, doctor, lawyer, whatever prestigious
Yeah.
established profession.
Right.
I understand like what that meant to them
Yeah.
and to everybody before them.
Yeah.
And to, in a sense, take that away from them.
It's not an easy conversation.
No, not at all.
Far from it,
So
actually.
I understand the aspects of like disappointment that come along with that. But I think nowadays, especially, my family and I are like closer than we've ever been.
Yeah.
And them knowing that I've not only found a way to provide for myself, but also to do it in a way that I like very much enjoy. Dude, I've been doing this job, the coaching job now for 13 years.
Nice.
And there's never been a time when I thought to myself, I don't really want to do that anymore.
Right.
So I don't know many people who feel that strongly about their profession.
Can't name many. Yeah.
I feel so strongly, in fact, that if I woke up tomorrow and I had $1 billion, I would still show up to all my meetings with my clients.
Mhm.
And I would continue doing the job normally.
Yeah.
Indefinitely.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's many people who can say that and mean it. So in a sense, I think even to my parents nowadays, it's a much better result.
Yeah.
That I was able to make this work.
Right.
Than me going down the more conventional path.
Yeah.
And making that work. I'm not saying I couldn't have been happy. But I do think that if you are one of the very lucky few, and I get not everybody will have a chance, but if you're one of the lucky few who has a chance to not only make a good enough living, but also do it in a way that you are very passionate about, that gives you a sense of purpose and meaning.
Yeah.
If you can do all that, then you won at life.
Yeah.
And that's really like, regardless of the prestige of being a doctor or whatever else, that is at the end of the day what my parents and I think every parent wants for their kids.
Of course.
Is to have all of that.
Yeah.
It's just.
It looks different.
That, and I think implicitly, everybody knows that it's an extremely unlikely outcome that you get all of it.
But how much more gratifying is it now that in that you got to do something that wasn't necessarily likely?
Yeah.
But now you can have everything that they wanted for you and potentially more.
Yeah, I mean, extremely.
Yeah.
But again, back then, they couldn't have known, I couldn't have, nobody could have known or even thought really, realistically, that it was going to work out.
Yeah, and the only reason I asked that was because I think in a sense, we both had those tough conversations too, and we've dove surface level on that conversation.
Yeah.
But it is, again, it's really gratifying for me to have someone to look up to in a sense where it's like,
In a physical sense, you're looking down toward me, but okay.
well, we're gonna talk highly of you today. But yeah, it is like it's tough conversations, and that's why it's like, again, to have parents that have allowed us to.
Yeah. I mean, it surprises me a little bit that your parents were, at least from the outside looking in, they were as supportive as they were of some of the choices you're making.
Again, it's not something that they were as verbal about, and I know that they weren't thinking
But
that.
you felt supported?
I would like to say yes, because
Yeah.
even my mom has expressed when I've had those tough moments about like, should I get a 9 to 5?
Yeah.
She would like, you would kill yourself. So she knows me better than I know myself, right? And that's where the support is. Like, it's not necessarily explicitly telling me yes or no,
Yeah.
but it's those mistakes that they've let me make, understanding that like he needs to know that maybe the 9 to 5 isn't for him, right?
Dude, and I'm grateful that you have experienced and gone through all those changes of that transition in the way that you did. But I guess partly because that was very different than how I felt.
Mm.
And I want to make this very clear. How I felt is not necessarily how I should have felt or how it was.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I had anybody.
Mm.
And like there was a long period of time where like my parents and I would have a great relationship. And again, to be clear, that was on me. That was a kind of a choice I made where like I don't know. There was an aspect of probably guilt that I was so selfish to choose this thing that was taking away from my family.
Yeah.
And their hopes and dreams.
Right.
And maybe that's just the story I told myself, is that I didn't have anybody. Like in retrospect, I know like if things didn't work out, I could have called my dad and be like, "Hey, Dad, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Didn't work. I'm sorry. I'm gonna come home." At any point, I could have.
Right.
I know that now, but back then, I truly did not believe that.
Right.
And in one sense, that was useful because I felt like if I didn't make this work, there's no plan B.
Yeah.
But also the aspect where like I kind of wish I didn't need to feel that way to succeed.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you didn't, is that was very lonely.
Yes. And I think that's something that I think that I'm able to push through still is because, again, the support system for me is so powerful.
Yeah.
And that's why I do emphasize it so much for anybody.
You know, it's interesting to think about it because it is two very, very different things. You acting, me building businesses. But I do think, and I have thought about this in the past, there are some parallels as far as the maybe a desire not to follow convention. I don't know if that was actually the thing. I think it's just like the fact that we didn't, the willingness to.
Would you say that you felt that even early on that you knew you were kind of always different or like an outlier?
No.
Okay, because I always felt like I was going to do something different. Even though I think, honestly, going to school for me was trying to mask that.
Yeah.
Or trying to do nursing.
So you suspected at some level that it was not the thing for you.
You know, early on, it's like, I think the moment that I went to Christian Brothers, my parents are already setting me up to be different. And I think that was where I learned that maybe it's not necessarily okay, but like meeting when we played basketball with the Asians, they all went to the same schools.
Yeah.
Right. I would always come from somewhere else. That sounds so weird to say, but I think I knew early on that I was going to do something different. I didn't know quite what it was, but I think if I look at the trajectory of my life so far, javelin's been different.
Yeah.
Oregon baseball has been different. Acting for sure has been different.
Yeah.
Living in Los Angeles still is very different. And I've kind of used that as like a persona for myself, is that like I like the opportunity to be different in a sense because it allows me to have, I don't want to be like everyone else.
Why not?
I think that I've always felt like I want to have my own life, have my own journey.
Yeah.
And when someone else was always trying to tell me, do this, do that, I always think in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't want to do that. Right. And I think.
Is that because you're being told to? Like if you just stumbled upon that thing, whatever it is, by yourself?
Maybe in a sense, I don't like listening to people, but I just think that with all the life experiences that I've had, when I've taken a chance on myself, I've been happier.
Mm.
Versus if I try and stick to the status quo, I've always felt like I've just not living up to my full potential.
Yeah, and I guess maybe important
Mhm.
to acknowledge that there's some sort of it's a bit of a privilege to be able to do that for either
Mm.
of us. And there's definitely going to be people out there who do or have had to make choices differently because they didn't have that luxury.
Of
And
course.
I don't think it's any less meaningful or any less beautiful when people live what you might consider to be a normal life or go
For
down a more
sure.
normal path. Um, I think it's just, you have your preferences,
Mhm.
right? I have mine, and the fact that we've been able to pursue them is to us, in the microcosms of our own lives, that's the best, right?
Mhm.
Um,
And would you say that's where the parallel comes in too? Like,
I think a lot of it was, and dude, like fully honestly, so I thought about this yesterday,
mhm,
kind of in prep for this podcast.
mhm,
Um, I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but I did think about it, like when I heard, because I didn't. It wasn't like you and I talked about it. I heard
mhm.
from like my dad that you were pursuing acting, that he heard from your dad, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that, maybe I should call Davis because I imagined in my head, I thought back to like what I went through when
Right.
I veered off, hard left off of my path.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm grateful to know that you weren't struggling in the same ways that I was.
Mm.
But I also imagine some of the moments that were tough
Mhm.
were maybe tough in similar ways. And that is maybe a regret of mine is that I didn't reach out to you when I could have, when I suspected that you might struggle in ways that I've already screwed up myself. Um, but I hope that like whether or not I knew what was going on in your life, I hope that you know that I was and always will be in your corner.
Thank you.
And in the future, again, I don't know that I will always know what show you're on, but I I do want to promise you, like I'm a phone call away. If you need
Yeah.
me for something,
Yeah.
I will always be here.
And I going back to that too, and I've expressed this to my parents that with a lot of things in my life, when I think about who in my family I look for advice, maybe it is because we're crazy, but the parallels I do see myself in a little bit of the journey that you've taken, maybe not in that
Sure.
specific moment, and I have done it a little later than you had to make a very tough decision when you were younger. But
I didn't think about that, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
right, like as a person,
I was 20.
yeah, and I was still in college, right? Like I had gone and gotten my degree, so it's very different in that aspect.
Yeah.
But when you're taking a chance on someone, it is nice to know I'm not maybe not the first,
Mm.
right? And so that's why, and I've expressed this. If I ever feel like there's someone I can talk to,
I tell our younger cousins all the time, it's never too late to drop out of school.
Katie, listen to this man. No.
Erica's still in school too. It's never too late for her.
But it's honestly, I feel like it's brought us closer because we've gotten to talk about the similarities of that journey.
Yeah.
And that's where I appreciate, because I don't relate to some of our other people in our family because they have done the traditional route, and I don't necessarily know what that looks like.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm extremely happy and proud for them because they've done it and been successful that way.
Yeah.
It's not how I've lived my life.
Yeah.
Right. And so for us to have had that similar hopping off the freeway and doing our own thing, it's like, it's nice to be able to chat about that, right? And
For
I
sure.
think the older we get, also we understand it more on a common level, because when we were younger, I was like, dang, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
should I reach out, right? Like, almost in a scared sense of like, did I want to? Probably yes, but was I so young and naive about what I was doing in my own sense? Yeah, of course, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, I'm very grateful for the relationship that we can have to sit down and talk about this verbally now, right?
Yeah.
And I told myself when the podcast era came out, I was never going to do a podcast. I did not want to catch on that trend. Like I was very adamant. I told people, and when you texted me and we talked about it,
It's low stakes though, because there's only like 10 people listening, right?
You think that?
No, I know there's more,
But
I don't know how many more, but I know there's more.
There'll be more. But I was excited about it. I think if there was someone to do a podcast with, and if this is the last podcast that I do, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
because it's with someone I'm
It's not, because I'm going to bring you back at least one more.
Let's bring my parents back. See their perspective.
Yeah.
We'll do the parents and parents podcast.
I only have 2 mics. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. My mom will take it anyway. My dad won't. My dad will be like, Terry, you can take this. But yeah, I think when I was really excited I think yesterday specifically and like I said, there's moments when I do projects where I'm excited about.
Mhm.
And yeah, sure, maybe 10 people will watch it. But to have this on film and to talk about it with you, I was excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a cool way to remember
It is.
this conversation.
And that's why it's for
when
me.
we're like 60, we're not going to remember what we said.
I'm not gonna remember next week.
Yeah.
But the first part of this podcast is important. But I think the second part was where I was looking to have more fun with it and diving deeper into things that we knew surface level.
Yeah. But
then getting real raw and really getting to see the similarities for what we've gone through.
Yeah.
And then seeing the differences, which we're finding out right now.
Yeah.
But again, like, I'm extremely happy that we took the route that we did. And I'm excited to see. I think one of the other questions I was going to see was like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, right? Like, I think it's such a cliche question, but
if I can have like a few minutes to think of my answer while you answer that yourself, where do you want to be in 5 years?
Yes. And the only reason I ask that is because it's such a cliche question, because growing up, what was the question when you were in high school? What do you want to do when you grow up? Where do you see yourself pursuing?
The question for me was like, what is your GPA?
Right. No, literally.
Only kind of kidding.
You're not, though. That's the thing. And I think for myself, it's like, I hope it's more of that I still love what I'm doing and I'm still passionate about the life that I have.
Well, the thing is, I think that you figured out enough about your life that if you 5 years from now realize that you don't love, or at any point along the line you realize that you don't love any longer what you were doing, you just do something differently.
Yes. And I think that's something that people are afraid to take a chance on sometimes. And that's where, 5 years from now, like, I know what I would like to see happen, and I know that's the potential that I have to happen. But I'm also open to, like, if it's not what was on my path, then you're right. Like, let's just pick the next thing up and figure it out. So for me, it is something that I'm extremely grateful. I think I'm just trying to be passionate about life right now and kind of work hard and see what unfolds from that.
Yeah.
Right. I don't really have those like 5 to 10 year goals because, again, do I know I'm going to live 10 years from down the road? I hope so. But
I hope so too. Yeah.
Do I really know? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't really try and have those, like, I try and think about it. Obviously it does occur in my mind, but once I think about it, it's like, let me just live my life the way I want to live it and see what kind of unfolds from there.
So, I mean, for you then, that's kind of a cop-out because you're asking a question to me that you don't even know the answer to for yourself.
Yes, it is. It is. But I think ultimately, like, when I ask you, it is because it's okay to have.
Yeah, it's fine to not know.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I'm trying to challenge you to, be realistic with yourself.
I have some ideas. And I think a lot of it has changed in the past, even inside the past year.
Yeah.
Past 10 years, I've worked more than I needed to. Probably close to double full-time on average for most of those 10 years.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily regret it on the whole, because again, I've arrived to this point in my life wherever I am and I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for all of it, but I also know that I don't think it's necessary or a good use of my time anymore to work like that.
Of course.
So, I only operate the one business nowadays it's in a part-time capacity. And that's totally fine for me for the rest of my working years.
Yeah.
I'll probably work forever. Like, fully honestly, I like the work that I do enough that I'll probably do it forever.
Which you should.
But I think that some of what I look forward to is even in the transition away from my last business, the biggest thing to me that's different is not necessarily that I work less. It's that I don't have to do things with the same sense of extreme urgency. I can take my time doing certain things now that I didn't used to. Like, I'm not joking when I say that I used to block out my time down to like 5-minute increments
Which,
and try to run my entire day that way
yeah.
out of necessity. Like, if I didn't do that, I couldn't have been sure that everything I was supposed to progress was going to progress.
Mm.
No longer having to do that, I can be a lot more flexible. Where if we run 3 hours over time of this podcast, it's kind of whatever.
Yeah. Which are
we might have,
yeah.
And I'm grateful for that, and I look forward to being able to spend more time with my people,
Yeah.
with you, with Christine,
Yeah.
and maybe a family of my own. I don't know what that looks like 5 years from now.
Yeah.
But I hope inside the next 5 years.
And I think me hearing you talk about that it's exciting for me because last time we spoke on the phone, I heard how much you had gone through with previous stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it did take, without getting too much into it, like it took a lot out of time and effort.
Yeah.
And to hear you talk about that you're able to do something part-time now that you love and still be able to look in the future and say, now I have all these opportunities, right? Like to live my life a little bit, right? I'm grateful that you went through those to an extent. Like it allowed you to see, I don't have to work the 80 hours or whatever it may be. And if you want to, that's great, that because then you know the capacity of it. But it's also gratifying to know that you're not beating yourself up over situations that occurred that people could beat themselves up over.
Yeah.
Right. And it's very easy to, when in this situation, if you look at if a win or a loss, right? You can look at it that way. If you take a loss, it's easy to want to get back on the train and go, I need a win, I need a win, I need a win, right?
Yeah.
But you took the higher road and said, this is not worth my time, in a sense.
You know that quote? I don't know whose quote this is, but the idea, I never lose, I only learn, something like that.
Yeah, there's no such things as losses. There's only wins and lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever that quote is, whoever said it, they're smarter than me. But I do think that that's very relevant. That I don't really look back on any of the things that I've done and thinking to myself,
I literally have that on it's literally my screensaver.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same wavelength.
Yeah.
But I tend not to think of things so much as a failure, even if they didn't work out the way they're supposed to.
Right.
Because a lot of the things that you could deem failures, or that I could deem failures from my life and my past experience, they are very much integral parts of the reasons why I have done well elsewhere, or that I am the way that I am now.
Yeah.
And dude, that's like maybe the most important thing. And if I can impart any wisdom on you today, it really is just, success is kind of a nebulous thing. It's hard to pinpoint and figure out what exactly that is, even like just to you yourself. But one thing I think I can confidently say is that if you are proud of, not necessarily even the person you are here and now today, but if you know that you're aimed in the right direction, and you're on your way toward that, like you know that you'll look back 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and be proud of whatever you're doing, however you're behaving, or that young Davis, 10-year-old Davis will look up and know what you're doing now somehow, and be proud of that. You're on the right track. Right? So regardless of what the specifics are, I think that's a good way to guide yourself.
I like that. Yeah, I think, and again, like it is trying to go back to the whole like seriousness of life. It's like kids do a great job at not, spending time with Alyssa's kids. It's like, they do such a good job at not really caring. And just living their life how they want.
Makes you wonder a little bit, like at what point in your life do you lose that, right?
And that's why, being an actor, I've been able to get back to, for me to I played a pirate on stage.
Yeah.
I never once thought like, what are people gonna think?
Yeah.
It's how am I gonna play this?
It's funny that that's the word that you use too. Like that is the word that anybody would use, is you played an, whatever role, you played a pirate. But that's kind of funny because it's like you are actually kind of playing around in a sense. Yeah.
And that's what I wish we could get back to. Like, you do need to be serious about your life. Don't get me wrong. But kids do such a great job at, like, there's a reason they dream. It's a reason when you look back in 6th grade and it says, what do I want to be when I grow up? 90% of those kids aren't right. I want to be, maybe they are, but it's like they want to be in the NBA. They want to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
They want to be, their mom's a hairstylist. I want to be a hairstylist. I want to look up to my parents, right? Like, they're not thinking this is going to make me 6 figures. That's why I want to do it. Right. But then it's like, at what point do you lose that and say, I'm going to go down this path because I may like it,
Yeah.
but it's going to financially set me up to, right? So it's like that fine line of like, I wish more people could have that childlike ability to just go for it. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody's in different situations, and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I do find it very helpful for my own life to realize that not necessarily like the less serious I take life, but if I can understand that shitty things are going to happen, and
it's like whether you risk it or not, it's still going to happen. Yeah.
You could have 6 figures and you're going to hate like your life. If you could have no money, you could hate your life. Like, would you rather do it doing something you enjoy, or would you rather doing it something that you are dreading? I have so many friends that make upper 6 figures, right, or north of it, and it's like all I have to hear them talk about is, I have to go into work tomorrow. I have to work with this person, right?
Yeah.
And I get to go to work, and it's like, I love this. Right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people. The funny comparison I make sometimes with my clients is, in Pokemon,
Okay.
you have like a stat sheet for each Pokemon, and
Yeah.
it's like their attack is 300 and their defense is 200 and their speed is whatever it is. If you thought of your life and the things that are important to you in that same regard, where you have a stat sheet, I think a good way to make sure that you are both happy and fulfilled is to ensure that all of these stats are sufficiently high. What we tend to do instead is we consolidate our focus onto one of them.
Yeah.
And say, like, some of your friends they're making a bunch of money and they hate their job.
Yeah.
It's like they've consolidated their focus onto the one stat of how much income can they earn.
Yeah.
And that's not a terrible idea. Like, I do think
No.
there's a time and place to make some sacrifices, but
Right.
if that comes at the expense of all of their other stats, right? Their family, their health, their relationships, and so on, maybe it's not worth it, right? The people who I think are happiest and most fulfilled are the people who progress all of the important aspects of their lives, if not concurrently, at least on the whole over time. All of those things are moving up. None of them are really taking a big hit.
Yeah, and I don't think people do a great job at that.
Yeah, it's really hard. I
It
mean,
is.
I've struggled with the same thing for a long time. Probably for the rest of my life, I will.
Yeah.
But I think maybe just to remember that is useful and important.
Right. When I was thinking about the podcast yesterday, majority of it came from the excitement of getting down and sitting to talk with you, I think, first and foremost. But
just to say, we can do this without the podcast too.
No, we can.
And I told you that I would have loved to do that even if this wasn't a thing.
And we do, and we still will. Like, we do have great conversations. But I think the exciting thing is, like, this will be documented.
Yeah.
Right. And
assuming I didn't just like ruin the footage.
Yeah. And assuming that this is actually filmed right now.
Yeah. Right.
But no, it's more about just like the knowledge of, at the end of the day, I hope people understand that, like, I'm in the entertainment business not for the fame, but it's really to inspire.
Not for the fame. It's actually just for the money.
Yeah. Show me the money. What's that, Tom Cruise? He's like, show me the money. Yeah, now that we're talking about it.
But in all seriousness, you feel like it is like your mission, your life's work is to inspire other people.
It is. And I think it's boiled down to every step of like playing baseball. I wanted to let people know that it's okay to go for something, right? And with film and television, more specifically, it's like if I wanted to be a doctor, we have all the resources for that, right? I could call up any one of our parents' friends, right?
Yeah.
To be an actor, you're kind of paving your own path. Like, there are people out there who have done it, but I don't know them directly.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I'd love to work with them in the future. But
there's no like guidebook for that. Right?
There isn't.
Yeah.
And I just hope that when someone watches my work, that one person, regardless of age, ethnicity, whatever, they can take a step back and be like, you know what? I relate to that. And maybe with the life that I have left, I do go for it. Right.
Yeah.
Or take a chance on themselves to realize that there's a lot of life to live, but ultimately it comes down to, do you want to do what you want to do? Or I just hope that if I do play a villain, like, people can relate and look at themselves into a character and hopefully learn something from that. Like,
Yeah.
I want them to watch my work, and if first and foremost, if I'm playing a villain, I hope they hate me, right? But or the good person or a rom-com, like I hope they can relate and get away from the reality of it and learn something about themselves. Like that's
Yeah.
ultimately what film is that it's someone's vision that's coming to screen and they're trying to relate with all the audience, right? Or vice versa. Like they hate it.
Yeah.
Like
Hopefully not that way.
yeah, yeah. So
It,
all right, go ahead, go ahead.
well, what I was going to say is because one of these things is going to die soon. It's
Yeah.
going to force us to cut.
Good. No, I'm hungry. No.
If on the Diary of a CEO, they do this thing where they have their guest ask the next guest,
Mhm.
and you don't know who it is.
Yeah.
I have an idea who it is, but not knowing who that's going to be, I would like for you to leave a question for that next guest.
That's a good one. My question would be, are they currently happy doing what they're doing? And if so, why? And that could be they are happy. And why are you happy?
Or why not, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah.
I think that would be my question to them.
Okay. That forces you then to watch the next episode to find out if that person's happy or unhappy.
Yeah. And I will know.
One more time, where
Yes.
can people find you?
You can just Google me and you'll be able to find my work. But
Davis Yasuda.
Yeah, Davis Yasuda. And you can Instagram, Netflix, Hulu, whatever. And hopefully IMDb, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you making the time. All
Thank
the
you.
time for the entire half of this day today.
That is what it turned out to be. So thank you so much. I spent my vacation. I hope people know that I spent my vacation in Sacramento here doing this podcast.
That's the only reason you came home.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to train and I'm going to do this podcast.
All right. That sounds good. We'll wrap up here and we'll go eat.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you.